Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, whichever the case may be, depending on which side of the country you're on. My name's Larry Young. I appreciate you showing up again. For those of you who are new to our webinars, welcome and thanks for joining. Today we're doing a part of our free webinar series, a Civil 3D plan production tools. For those of you who've never seen that, it basically is going to allow you to get some plan and profile sheets done rather quickly compared to what you've been doing before. Okay, so that one is that sheet was done. Let's go for a little bit of my background here. We're doing, been using and teaching Autodesk products since AutoCAD version 2. Some of you weren't even born back then in 1986, I'm sure. 15 years of civil engineering design work. 15 years I owned my own consulting firm for civil CAD, C-A-D-D, computer aided drafting and design. 4 years with a couple of resellers. Some of you know who those people are. That's okay. A speaker at Autodesk University last year. Database and web programmer, and I specialize in Land Desktop Civil 3D and Map 3D. Now, my goal, and some of you have never seen this slide before in the next two, so I'm gonna explain something here. My goal is to get you to do one thing, and that's to save a minimum of 5 minutes per hour. And now think about it, okay? If you think about that, that's 1/12 of an hour. Okay, 5 minutes is 1/12 of an hour. What that relates to in a year-long project or a year-long working environment is a whopping 1 month per year, which happens to also be 1/12 of a year. So it's real easy to figure out the math on that. And if you don't believe me, go out and get your calculator and try it out. But it works. If I save you 1 month a year, I'm actually thinking a different way here. I'm thinking 1/12 of a year, or 160 hours a year on average. Or at $25 an hour, I'm saving you $4,000. Now that's the billable, and not the billable rate, but that's the rate that a typical average CAD draftsman, CAD designer might make in the United States. I don't know exactly what that is. I'm sure it fluctuates from region to region. So don't hold me to these things. Don't go back and yell at your boss because you're only making $8.50 an hour and tell him you need a raise, because I don't need that kind of headache. In any case, $25 an hour would be the rate that they would pay possibly a CAD draftsman or CAD designer. Now, if you want to look at it another way, if they're paying 75, or rather if your billable rate is 75 an hour, then you're talking about $12,000 of savings per year. If it's $100 an hour, then of course you can do the math, $16,000 per year. It's quite impressive when you think about it for the number one, for the free webinars that you're getting here, and even if you're doing some training classes, the savings when we get you to save money is astounding. Now keep in mind that I'm talking about 5 minutes an hour. If you've never seen this chart before, it's on one of my blog sites, and I can give you that address later today. But this will show you that according to all of these things, and I have done these by hand and by AutoCAD and by Land Desktop and of course by Civil 3D, this shows you the amount of times on average to do various tasks. Okay, and the total down there at the bottom for Land Desktop, the total is 4.25 hours. To do that same amount of processing or task, if you will, that's going to take 1.25 hours in Civil 3D. And of course that all varies, so don't again go to your boss and tell me that I'm lying, or if you're a boss, don't go to your people and tell them that they're fired because I said they could do it in 15 seconds. All these things are variables, depends on what you're doing, but the savings are actually quite astounding. All right, so today we're going to talk about plan and production tools. We're going to create view frames, that means templates for plan and profile, and we're going to talk about the view frame editing. And then we're going to create sheets. We're going to do drawing placements. In other words, where are these sheets going to go? We're going to talk about fields, then we're going to talk about sheet list table, just to get you a little bit of information about how these things work and what they do. So let's switch over now to a AutoCAD version, and hopefully everybody can see my screen. We're good to go there. Uh-oh, I've got to change one thing. Sorry about that. Hold on. That's not going to work. Okay. Well, so much for that idea. I am recording, but I'm just not sure what this thing is going to be recording here. Hopefully I've got it going correctly. All right, so here we go, and this is out of the kindness of one of my clients who also is doing production work, of course. They've allowed me to use their data for this little project. In return, I'm actually recording this for them to use for training purposes later. So thank you, gentlemen. You know who you are, and I shall not mention any names. Simple ditch, well, actually not very simple if you talk to them, but a ditch project nevertheless. We have already built the corridor. You can see that there highlighted. The corridor is there, and by the way, I want to interject something here real quick. For those of you who might have questions or problems at any time during this presentation, the newest member of my staff over here, my son Donald Young, is actually manning the technical booth for me. And so if you happen to have a question, if you'll type it in, he'll keep track of those for me, and we'll try our best to get those answered for you at any time during the day. Okay, so in this case, we already have the alignment created, of course, and we also have the profile created. This would be existing and proposed up here. Let me scroll over here. Sorry about that. That wasn't a good place. There we go. So there's existing up there. There's proposed down here. Okay, so we've got all this created. We've got the actual ditch assembly created over here. That's a custom assembly. And we've already created the corridor. So basically the plan and production tools, if you will, are designed to take over now when you're ready to plot. Now this is far from completed project, I'm sure, but that's okay. We can still do this. We can still use the plan and production tools. And by the way, anything that we do to our model space at a later date will still come in here on our sheets. Okay, so let's get started. On the general pull down, we have plan production tools, create view frames. You'll notice down here on the left side that we don't have anything going on the view frames. In other words, there's not any there yet. So we're going to go create those. And it'll bring up a dialog box here that says what's the alignment. Well, we've only got a choice of 5 here, so we have to know which one we're going to use. Just like most of you will have a series of roadways. So we pick the correct one, and we can give it a station range of automatic, so it goes from begin to end, or we can use a user specified if we're only going to do a few sheets. Maybe you're doing phase 1, which goes from 0 to 3,600 feet. Maybe that needs 3 sheets. So your choice. Okay, I'm keeping it simple. I'm just running through this rather quickly so you can see what's going on. Okay, so now we have the plan and profile, and I'll have to go back to this if I have time at the end, but we have a plan and profile choice here. We can choose to create only the plan view, like such, if you only wanted to create a series of plan sheets, or only the profile sheets. I mean, some people do keep those separate. In our case, we're creating the plan and profile both, so this being our sheet right here, we will be creating the plan and the profile. Now, some of you are going to ask, and I'll avoid this question real quick, how do you know whether you've got the plan or the profile on top? That happens to be in this drawing over here that we're looking at right now. We're looking at a drawing here that's in this humongous foxhole, or rabbit hole as we call it, and it's way down there. Let's go to the right here and you'll see what I'm talking about. And it's in a folder here called Plan Production, and in this case it's something called 09JS Sheet Templates.dwt. You can create this sheet yourself. Okay, this one in particular was created by a gentleman named Tench Tillman, the owner / operator, whatever, janitor, I'm sure he does everything there, of cadpilot.com. So the fact is, when you set up that sheet or you use his, it will bring in for you any kind of views in this list down here of what's in that particular template. So you can create your own template, meaning you can put your own title block in that template, and you can create any number of the sheets down here at the bottom tabs in here for 20 scale, 30 scale, 40 scale on a D or E, or I mean, you can do whatever you want in that drawing. Okay, so if I have time, I'll go back and show you that drawing in a bit. If not, we'll just deal with it and I'll show you at a later date. So I'm going to go ahead and pick, in our case, a 20 scale E size sheet. Okay, just because that's the one I want to pick. And of course, you're going to have to figure out how long your project is, how many sheets you want to have. You probably don't want to have a million sheets, so making it a larger scale if you can, a smaller scale if you can, would probably help in eliminating some sheets. All right, so the view frame placement. Now you can see the little view frames. Okay, these are the little orange boxes that are going to go around our alignment in blue here. And right now they're kind of parallel or along the alignment the best they can. We don't have to do that. Sometimes an agency requires that you do that. And so it's your choice. Okay, you have to pick which one you want. I'm going to leave it at along the alignment for now. I'm going to hit next and go to the view frame groups. By the way, every time I hit next, it's simply going down these lists of things over here. You can go back at any time, or you can click on any one of these to jump around inside of this little wizard that they've given you. Alright, so we've got a view frame group, and then they're dealing with the name of it over here, and they're dealing with a counter and all this stuff. Usually that's okay, you know, it's not a huge deal, but if you wanted to give it a description, we can call it channel. Okay, and the name over here of the view frame is view frame 1, view frame 2, view frame 3, etc. You can change it to anything you want. We can use styles such as invisible or no plot. The view frames themselves, we typically don't want them to plot, but we do want to see them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Label styles, we've got no plot and we've got standard. Pretty much that's it. Either you turn it on or you don't. And by the way, you can also create your own over here by copying or editing. Any of these things they're just styles, just like everybody else. Okay, very good. And the label location. This would be for the match line label. Okay, then you have a list there. I'm going to go ahead and get next. All right, now here we go. The positioning. How do you want to position these match lines? Okay, so we're on the match lines tab now. How do you want to position them? What layers are they going to go on? What's the match line name itself? I don't like this. I'm sure that some people do it that way. I prefer match line dash, just like most agencies do. Again, we have styles, propose line, without masks, and propose with mask. I'm going to put the with mask on just to show you what that does when we get down there. Okay, label styles. Well, we're going to put left side. We're on the left side right here, by the way. Left label style. Okay, left inline mask, and then right inline mask. And then on the left label position, we can either put it at the start of the line, the end of the line, or the middle of the line. Typically it goes in the middle. My choice. Your choice as well, of course. And profile view styles. Now, again, these all came with the cadpilot.com's templates, which I believe are called Jumpstart. Very, very nice way to do things. I don't mean to plug him, you know, endlessly to you people, but you have to understand, with all the work that are put into these things, he's saving you, you know, anywhere from 6 months to a year of doing all of this work yourself. So, huge amount of effort and not very much cost, in my opinion. Okay, so we're using now. I'm looking at. Let's see. Let's do clip out and 10 scale majors. And then a band set. I'm not going to use any bands right now. Okay, well, yeah, let's go ahead and put the EG and EF. No. EG and FG. There we go. Let's use that one. That's going to put a band, and I'll explain what that is in a few minutes. Okay, so we're all set. We've gone through all of these things up here. We go down and hit the Create View Frames, and voila, you see the view frames over here. So with the view frames, if we click on it, of course, we can see that we have groups, view frames itself and match lines. If we look at the view frames, we come up with the frames, because I have done this once this morning. We did this morning, and those view frames are numbered a little bit differently. And if you'll hold on 1 second, we have a question. Let's see. We've got a couple of questions. Okay, so somebody is asking the question, how do you set all the sheets along one specific tangent instead of along the alignment and to north? Wow, I'm not sure exactly what that means. I can only guess that you want to set some of the view frames parallel to the channel and some of them not. In that case, you would have to make basically two different groups of view frames like this here. I have one group here called VFG alignment. I would create another group. This one would go on the particular stations that I want, and the next group would go along the next stations, much like doing a what's that called, a region in the corridor. Okay, the next question is, can I change the profile grids? Oh yeah, absolutely. You can change the profile grids anytime you want. In fact, that's the same thing as changing this profile grid here by clicking on any of the profile grids that it's about to create and right-clicking, and then go to Profile View Properties. We can then change the grid to whatever we want it to be. So for example, I've got the Out Majors 10 right there. If I do that, you'll see that the grid will change immediately, and it's not exactly what we want, but I'm just proving a point. There we go. So now we have our grid, and of course it doesn't show up quite as nicely as it did before. Okay, but this grid here is only for design purposes. It's going to create its own grids here in a moment. And by the way, for those of you, I know who you are who sent those questions, and I don't want to go repeating names, but if we don't get your questions answered, please send me an email with your question, and I will be happy to give you a call and answer those questions for you. All right, so now we have the view frame group created, and that was the first part of this process. And now our second part of the process, of course, go back to the General tab, Plan Production Tools. Now we're going to create the sheets. And for those of you who are not familiar with the sheets, these sheets actually go into something called a Sheet Set Manager. Okay, so when I create those sheets, now it's going to do a lot of work. Now I'm going to warn you, okay, I don't know what I've done to my machine lately, but I tried this morning, and depending on what your parameters are, I crashed it twice. So if I do that again, I will apologize ahead of time, but I'm going to try to make it as simple as I can. I don't know what caused it, other than I just had way too many parameters and told it to do way too much stuff, and my machine didn't like it. It probably had something to do with the fact that I had 15 other programs like Outlook, etc. opened. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, so in this case we have to pick the view frame group, and you'll notice we only have one. I mean, it's right here on the left. The range, how many do we want to do? Well, you can choose. You can do all of the view frames, or you can do the first 3 if you're on phase 1, or the first 10, or whatever. Okay, the layout creation, what that means is, you notice down here there's little tabs, okay, in these sheets, and each one of these are a different drawing in this case. Well, that shows me that I'm going to have one new tab, one new one of these down here, this sheet 10 or whatever it's called, and I'm going to have one in each one of our new drawings. So it's going to go out and start creating new drawings, and each drawing is going to have one tab. That's fine. I mean, if you want to make a different sheet for each plan and profile, a different DWG for each plan and profile, that's fine. If you want to put them all in one sheet, you'll notice, and now it's going to bring in a bunch of tabs here, all on one sheet. And if you wanted to bring all of them in the current sheet, that would do like it did down here. It brought in sheets 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 10 when I did that this morning. So I'm going to try. Now this is, again, actually what I want to do first, let me just back up here. I'm going to save my drawing. I tend not to do that when I'm doing webinars, and it's not a good practice to get into. So I'm going to save my drawing, so in case it crashes, I can come back to it. All right, and let's go through that just real quickly one more time. Create sheets. All right, here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and try to put these all in one new drawing. Okay, and the layout name is going to be called sheet, and then the next counter. Now if you want to change the counter from whatever it was to, let's say you want to start at sheet 101, you can do that. You can increment by 5 if you want instead of 1. It doesn't matter. You can even change your styles here to 001 to 002 on your numbering formats. But I wanted to show you that. Okay, so now we have that set. Now I'm going to choose a north arrow block, and I'm just going to put in, let's put in a north arrow imperial. Hopefully that'll work. We'll see. Hit next. the sheet set itself, it's going to make something called a .dst file, and it's going to ask you what to call it and where to put it. So we're storing it right here in the webinars folder for Plan Production Tools. And then the individual sheets are going to have a name, and they'll be just fine. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and hit next, and the next ones have to do with the profile views. Those are already set. Get other settings from an existing profile view. I don't need to do that. I see that question. I'll get to it in just one moment. Let's see, we can choose settings from another profile view. We can align the profile and plan at the start, so in other words where the station 0 and 0 is here, we can align them at the middle. In case you have a big curve, then of course this stretches out and they don't fit, or we can even align them on the right side, so your choice. Alright, let's see what that question is. Let's see, you wanted the sheet number to include a letter such as C-104. Okay, let's go back to that just for a second and take a look at that. Let's see, where did I go to do that? That was the layout name sheet. Okay, so I believe in that case we would come in here, and instead of saying sheet dash and then let it put in the number, we would simply put in right there a space C. And let's see what they did. C, is there a dash? Yes, there is. C dash, and then whatever the number is would follow. So you can type anything you want in here. Okay, and of course it will get to 104 when it gets there, but I've started it at 101. Hopefully that answered your question. If not, again, just send me an email, get back to you and see what we can do to help you solve your problems. Alright, so again, it's storing sheets and it's giving them sheet names. I don't want to belabor too much of this information here. Data references. Okay, here's a good one. What are we going to put in here? Well, besides putting in just the profiles and the alignments, which are used on the plan and profiles, maybe we want to put in some other information, like maybe we want to put the surfaces in there. Okay, we've got a couple of them that we can put in there. There's the alignments, there's the profiles. If we needed alignments or profiles from other sections, we could do that. If we need different sites alignments, which we don't have any right now, so we don't need that part of it. If we had pipe networks, which I'll go back to in a few moments, I should have done that first, but I didn't. But we can include those at any time, it doesn't matter. This would let me put in the pipe networks if I wanted to. And basically that's the 4 items that we've got over here. So we're going to go ahead and hit Create Sheets. And in order to complete the process, it must save the current drawing. That's fine. Let's go ahead and do this. Now it's asking me to select a profile view origin. I realize it's already got a profile, but you have to understand it's going to chop those profiles out into whatever size it takes to fit on that e-sheet. Good. I'm not sure what it's doing. Let me go ahead and stop that recording. This is working okay, I hope. Alright, looks good to me. There's our plan and profile of one of the sheets, and of course we've got a ton of sheets down here. We can look at any one of them. They're all there. In fact, we can go back now, back to our beginning, and I've got a check sheet here. And I'm going to go ahead and open up that one just because I created that earlier. It's actually blank, and I want to just show you something. It's kind of cool. Again, much more detailed on this one later on, but there's a piece of our project down there, and what I've got here is the ability to add this check sheet or check E tab. Okay, I can basically go up here, right click, and say import a layout, which by the way that's this layout down here. I'm going to import a layout as a sheet. I'm going to browse for the drawing, and it happens to be the one that I'm working on now. And now I'm going to pick, see I don't need the rest of these, so those were all done earlier. I just need this check E sheet right here. Import it, and now it's part of my sheets. Now I'm going to move it to the top in order. Okay, and now on that sheet right there, watch this, I can actually go and put, well, where did it go? Come on. Daggone it. I can't find it now. That's interesting. Very strange. Let's save this and see if that will help. Let's see if that helped. No, it's not helping at all. I'm looking for something here in particular, and it's just not letting me do it. It actually lets me put in a list, a sheet list up here, basically an index, if you will. But for some reason, it's not letting me. I'm not getting to that option on here now. Well, apologize for that one, but come back in 2 weeks and we'll try to fix that one for you as well. All right, and then of course the last step of this whole entire thing is that we come over here and we say publish to a DWF. When you do that, it will give you just basically where do you want to send it to, and it will make a DWF out of every one of the sheets that I've got in this list. Okay, and wow, that was a those are always tiring for me to do those that are that. All right, there we go. And I apologize for all the problems, but I am going to ask you to stick with me for another 3 minutes because, as you all know, I'm giving you this information for free. I love doing it, don't get me wrong. I also love to feed my family, so I must do a little 3-minute advertisement here to get you guys to actually spend a little bit of money to make a lot. Okay, I've got an 8-week class coming up. It's 1 hour per week for 8 weeks. It's $179 for the 8-hour class. And just so there is no confusion, that $179 is for an 8-hour class for one person. I'm sorry, I can't do that for an entire company. Hope you understand. All right, it's going to cover things like intersections, transitions, super elevation, street widening, and a whole lot more. You can see what's in that class by visiting the website down here. Okay, all this website. Here's some additional, oops, let me go back here one. And let me go back one here. Yeah, this one I just wanted to give you time to see it, youngsvos.com. You can go to schedule.html or you can just click on the website, the main website here, and then go to, I believe it's called Classes, Webinars and Classes, or Class Schedule at the top. Okay, and then here's a ton of additional information that you guys can get to. The makers of Jumpstart Templates is there at cadpilot.com. I have 2 blog spots, larryyounglive.blogspot.com and the lyoung1118 at WordPress. WordPress is a huge new one that I didn't know about until just recently. I also have a channel on youtube.com. There's one and one only video up there right now for Civil 3D, and it happens to be about 8 minutes, and it's on manipulating surfaces using some tricks that I've found over the years. Our main website, youngsvos.com. Podcasts are coming soon to that website. I've started creating them for you, little 5-minute blurbs on tips and tricks and how to do things. Hopefully all this stuff is going to allow you guys to get better and better. And again, I just want to make sure that you understand. I do this because I love doing it. I really want you to do, there's my blog site. I really want you to be informed as to all the classes that we do. Come back and visit us on those classes. Come over and you know, help us to make a living. So we're here next week and next month to be able to help you. Next week, creating and manipulating surfaces. Interesting concept. All right. Again, if you want to see what that's about, look at the little 5-minute video that I put up there on YouTube. The schedule again is at youngsvos.com. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. And the one last thing that I would like you to do, I would like you to go fill out the questionnaire. Okay, it's going to only benefit you guys. That questionnaire is not for me. Yeah, it's for me in a way because it tells me that you think these webinars are valuable or not, or I do a bad job or I do a good job or whatever. I much prefer comments, but I also, inside of that little quick 5-minute, or not even 5 minutes, I ask for you to tell me topics that you'd like to see. This is all about you guys. Okay, I'm giving you information based on my experiences, what's going to be the most beneficial to you. Take the quick seminar, or take the quick survey when you get out of here. And with that, have a good day. See you next week. Thank you very much for joining us.